everybody. I want to do a couple videos kind of inspired by things I've been thinking about. First, I want to talk a little bit about depression. And because I heard a statistic that I thought was very, very scary. It was something like, in a decade from now, depression is going to be the #1 cause of death in our society, which is super crazy. And of course, that would increase even more if you were going to talk about people like my son, who, technically died of a drug overdose, but it's because he was self-medicating, So would he be, one of the ones that would be considered, he even count in that statistic? I certainly think that he would. But the problem with depression, the problem is that we don't see. We are taught in our society that we're supposed to always feel good, that things are always supposed to feel good. And I don't know why. I don't know why that is, but there's a message in your pain. There's a message in your depression. When my life looked perfect, 15 years ago, everything was in place. I was surrounded by family and friends. I had a thriving business. I had two healthy kids. I had a beautiful home. I had, everything just like I wanted it. And I was I couldn't imagine how I could go on living. I was so depressed. And I really had no idea why. I would go to my my therapist, and I would say I have no idea why. Now, granted, there was a lot really going on that was wrong with my life, but it was stuff that I was so used to overlooking. It was all my codependent stuff. It was all my stuff about my narcissistic relationships. And I was really being mistreated in my relationships. I was in the process of the devaluing stage in my marriage. And it subsequently was also, he was poisoning all my other relationships. So, which I never even imagined that anyone would even give me that much time. I was so neglected all the time that seemed shocking to me that he would even give me that much time. But he was, poisoning all my relationships. And on some level, I knew that if I didn't keep going, I knew that if I needed everybody too much, I was going to end up alone. And so I was just pedaling. I was like a duck. I was like a duck in the water, pedaling as fast as I could, like calm on the surface, but pedaling as fast as I could underneath, trying to stay afloat. And I was exhausted. And finally, what happened for me, as you know, is that I had a heart attack at 33 years old. I had a spontaneous coronary artery dissection, which is a rare kind of a heart attack. And then that, which I believe is absolutely a way that I willed myself to die, because I didn't want to kill myself, because I didn't want to traumatize my kids. I didn't even believe that I was that good of a mother anymore. I thought that it would save them to be rid of me. It was a really terribly sad thing. And so, I had a lot of things going on. Where it was different for my son was, and for a lot of young people, what really scares me is that what I see happening with a lot of young people is that they tend to apply what I call the 3 Ps to the things that are going on in their lives. They think that their problems are pervasive, permanent, and personal. So, like, even with this going on with me, the stuff that was going on with me, and I was in my 30s, I probably had that going on too. I thought it was all about love, and I thought it was such a personal affront. I mean, I couldn't possibly accept what was really going on, because that was just too unbearable to me to believe that I was unloved. The very notion that the day that it occurs to me that I was unloved was really an astonishingly sad day. So, that's why one of the biggest things in my programs is embracing reality, because I really believe that the surest way to change is to really see ourselves, see our problems, see our lives exactly as they are. Not worse than they are, and not better than they are, just exactly as they are. And I realize now that my fears were common. They were really common. The two biggest fears everybody has are that we aren't enough, and that life conditions make us so that we won't be able to deal, blah 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 blah, and because we aren't enough, that we won't be loved. Apparently, everyone fears the not being loved. It's just that not everybody is it true. Not everyone is it true for. But the other thing is that we get our growth from only really one thing, and that's from pain. And so we don't get that if we go around our problems. Things that get you around your problems are all the things that you do to numb out, or all the things you do to soothe yourself, which I have another video about. Soothing yourself can be a temporary fix. If you could do something temporarily to get through something, like you're divorced with your narcissistic husband, something like that, but then you got to let it go, because that's not the way to transcendence. Transcendence is that you make it all the way through a problem. And I'll tell you what, when you do that, you're going to go through some terrible pain. Terrible, terrible pain. But when you come through it, it's going to take with it the depression. It does. And my circumstances, this was so strange. My circumstances after this whole thing happened were way worse. I was completely alone. I was broke. I was disabled. Really, my circumstances were really bad. And you know what? I wasn't depressed. I wasn't happy. I was still very fixed in the, what am I going to do, and fixing my life. But just the heavy, dark confusion, and just the daily, day in, day out, deep depression. I've never had that again since. I haven't had that feeling again in 15 years. I've been completely estranged from my family in all that time too. I think that's the biggest thing with it is I believe that all depression is a result of cognitive dissonance. I believe that it's all a result of there being some truth that you're denying, some truth that you are hiding from yourself. And so we need our world to line up. We can deal with reality. We can. We don't think we can, but we can. You can bear it. And so basically what ends up happening is that, and very few people choose it. So I want to beat myself up sometimes for having wasted so much time and not just looking at this the way that it really was, but everyone does that. Everyone does that. And in some cases they do it a whole lot longer. I mean, my parents and my brother, they've done it for another 15 years. They're still doing it. And I suspect that they will always do it till the very end. So if we have any other choice, we usually take it. And that's the bottom line. That's the truth. But it's only when it becomes impossible for us to do anything else do we usually do the right thing when it comes to this. What I want to say to you about depression is, if you can remember to not get yourself involved in the 3 Ps. Don't be thinking at this sadness that you're thinking that's come your way is either permanent, pervasive, or personal. So these narcissists that were in my life, it had nothing to do with me. They were going to act like that to anybody. I see that now. It felt absolutely personal when it was happening, but I see now that it would have happened to anyone and there was nothing I could do about it. I also saw that if I really looked at it, it wasn't pervasive. It was people in my most intimate relationships, which is pretty intense, but it wasn't everybody. It wasn't, once I got outside of my family, I did have some friends that really did love me, and the new people that I met really did love me, and they did see me differently. They saw me more like I saw myself. They didn't need to see me in a way that made me wrong all the time. So it wasn't pervasive, and obviously it wasn't permanent. So, you know, the depression comes and it goes, and young people, because they haven't seen that cycle play out, they don't know that it goes. They don't know. They just look at it and they think that they can't bear to live this way. And what I try to tell my sons is they'd been through the worst. It was going to get better. Life was getting better. And yeah, I wish that he lived to see it. Thanks.